Well, Utah fans, good evening and welcome into the Kyle Whittingham Coaches Show. It's championship week around college football, and it's championship week around these parts. As the Utes wound down their regular season with a big win over Colorado on Saturday night, they finish it up 11-1, Pac-12 South champions, and now on to Santa Clara to play the Oregon Ducks for the right to win the Pac-12 championship coming up on Friday night. On the show tonight, we'll obviously talk about the Colorado Senior Night. We'll talk a little bit about the Buffs and, of course, the Ducks coming up this week. We'll be joined by a couple of guys. Tariq Lewis is going to join us today, and we'll also be joined by Kyle Lanterman. He'll join us on the program. We'll talk a little bit about the playoff rankings and weather and all kinds of stuff coming up on the Coaches Show tonight, which is brought to you by Smith's. You're listening to us, if you're listening on the radio or on the app, on our flagship radio home, ESPN 700. Many of you may be watching us tonight on the University of Utah Athletics YouTube channel and on Twitch. So thank you all for tuning in tonight on what might be our final Coaches Show of the year. At least for now, it's the last one we've got scheduled before the Pac-12 championship game, and we welcome in Kyle Whittingham. How are you?
Doing good, Billy. How are you?
Doing great. Just off the practice field tonight.
Fresh off the field, yes, sir.
Little chill in the air tonight?
Not bad. You know, we were outside under the lights and finished up with a 2-minute drill inside, and that was a good practice. And, today was more of a Wednesday. We're a day ahead because of the short week.
Can you simulate rain at all? I know you can simulate wind and noise and sound, but I don't think you can simulate rain, can you?
Well, we get the balls wet. We do that. we spray them down, and that's something you have to do is wet ball practice, and not only with the offense but with your specialists as well. And so we're doing everything we can towards that end, and we understand it's going to be, basically a 100% chance to rain.
Yeah. So if you guys hadn't heard, if you're heading over to Santa Clara, bring your Utah ponchos with you because there's a very good chance of precipitation and Mother Nature dropping some rain on the Utes and the Ducks on Friday night. We'll get to that coming up in a bit. You guys finished the regular season the right way. You sent the seniors out with a W in convincing style on national TV the other night, 45-15. Were you happy with the senior day performance?
Very much so. And, we had a little bit of a sluggish start. We didn't do much in that first quarter, but we got some momentum and made some big plays on special teams that really sparked us in that second half. A touchdown and Julian Blackman, big return. Actually, that was in the first half, I believe, that set up that field goal right before halftime, and then Damari in the second half. And that was good to see because we had not had a lot going special teams-wise through the first several games, but the last two games we've seen some real progress there.
Went back and watched the game a couple of times. Julian's was about this close to being a touchdown as well.
Yeah, if he makes the move outside instead of inside, he's in the end zone.
But it was a good night, and you got it done offensively and defensively. Your seniors went out on a great note. Zach had a good game. Tyler was super efficient again, and Brant Keithy continues to be Brant Keithy. But you did it as you were supposed to, and I thought too, Kyle, the game, there were a couple of stages in the game where it got a little chippy. And I thought your guys did a really good job of holding their composures regardless of how the flags were necessarily thrown, which is still a little perplexing to me. But I thought your guys did a really good job of keeping their composure and didn't beat themselves in a game where you know how that is. The blood gets boiling a little bit, and it's easy to take a swing or say something, and I didn't think your guys did.
Yeah, I thought they held their composure pretty good, as you mentioned, and it was a little bit some chirping going on in there, but our guys are really competitive. I mean, they're fiercely competitive, and it doesn't take much to get them riled up. But they did a good job, and our penalties, I think, for the night were 50 yards.
Yeah,
some more reasonable. So not a big issue.
Well, and when you went back and again looked at some of the flags, I think some of those you were kind of like, yeah, okay, you may have flagged us for it. I'm not so sure it was there, but.
Right.
Anyway, that being said, Utah got a nice one. What did you like most? When you went back and watched the tape and thought about it Saturday night, Sunday morning, what did you like most coming out of that Colorado game?
I would say our run defense, stepped up, 60 yards rushing in the entire game. We knew that had to happen. That's our MO. Got good pressure on the quarterback, 5 sacks, which is that's more like us, and that was good to see that sack total. Didn't turn the ball over on offense. That was huge. Another game with a 0 turnover in the turnover column, and so we won the turnover margin 1-0. We had that one that we got on our with our punt team. And let's see what else. But Tyler threw the ball efficiently, like always. It seems like every week he's upward, near 80% completion percentage. And Brant Keithy was a bright spot. In fact, Pac-12 Player of the Week, offensive Pac-12 Player of the Week.
He may or may not be an award winner for us coming up in the next segment. We'll we'll talk about that in just a minute. But maybe more importantly than anything else, you kept this forward momentum going. It's now 8 wins in a row, and now you head into a Pac-12 championship game. You know, in some ways, SC being on your you being neck and neck with SC, and then them breathing on your neck, probably served as a little bit of a nice motivator for you guys, because there was no room whatsoever over the last 2 months to take your foot off the gas.
Yeah, no margin for error at all, and we understood that after the first game when we started off with that loss, that our backs were to the wall and we had to play our way right out of it and back into it, I guess you could say. And they did just that and stayed focused every week, didn't get ahead of themselves, didn't overlook anybody, and just kept going about their business.
What does it mean to have this group get back to a Pac-12 championship game again? You got there for the first time a year ago with, in essence, this same group of guys. There were some seniors who are now gone, but the core of that team a year ago is back again. And to conquer the South, which wasn't great, but you had competition from SC, what does it mean to be able to get back there with this group of guys again and give them another crack at it?
Well, it's great. And then a lot of the seniors that could have departed, this is one of the reasons they didn't, is to come back and have a chance to get in this game again and try to finish the deal. And that was one of their main, all 4 or 5 of them that came and met with me when they were going through the decision-making process. That was a factor for each of them.
You can talk about bowl games today. The playoff would certainly be a nice thing, but when you win a conference championship, that is always with you. And this football team hasn't won a conference championship as members of the Pac-12 conference. So, whatever the bowl game might happen to be, a conference championship, you're going to be a champion forever. You know that. You won conference championships at BYU. That's always something you can hang your hat on. You may forget the bowl game you were in, but you'll never forget being a conference champion, will you?
Exactly. And this team to win 11 games, I don't know how many times we've won 11 games here at Utah. Is it 2 or 3? I mean,
this is only the second time in your tenure that you've won 11 regular season games. As head coach, you did it again, obviously, in 2004 as well.
Yeah, in the regular season. 3 years, yeah. So pretty elite company for this crew.
That's exactly right. In 2003 you did, but it took the bowl game to get that was back in the day where you played 11 regular season games and then obviously the bowl game to get there. So it's pretty special. And this is a pretty special group.
Sure we weren't 10-2 in 2003?
Maybe you were 10-2 in 2003.
Irrelevant. It was a good year. Anyway.
It was. Yeah, it was. Because Alex Smith was 21-2.
Right, and we had lost to New Mexico
and A&M.
A&M in the opener. Yeah.
A&M was the game I believe Brett Elliott got hurt in,
and
Alex
history.
Came in and he got Wally pipped.
Wally pipped.
You're right. The rest is. Brett went on to have a great NAIA career, shattered all kinds of passing records up at Linfield, Oregon, I think is where he was back. And I think he's coaching back in that area now.
Very successful coach, He's doing well coaching.
Yeah, Brett's done really, really well. But if he doesn't, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was diving for the pylon or diving for the end zone on like a quarterback keeper and landed on his wrist, broke his wrist. Alex comes in and...
That's exactly how it went down. Alex came in and the rest is history.
And the rest is history. We've been lucky this year. No major quarterback injuries. And when the quarterback has been hurt, he's played right through it. We'll talk about Tyler and what lies ahead this week. Just real quick, I know you probably saw this as you came off the practice field today. The college football playoff rankings came out, and you guys stepped a step closer now. You've obviously got to take care of business Friday night, but you're in that conversation, Kyle, and it's like we've always said, doesn't mean anything till you get there, but being in the conversation's nice.
Absolutely, and it's getting to the point in the season where if you're within striking distance, that's a good thing. Whereas a few weeks ago when we talked about it, it was irrelevant. But and I think everyone expected us to be right exactly where we are, and with Alabama getting beat, moving up one spot. So no surprise there, no drama, but. Still got to win this week.
Absolutely. If you don't beat Oregon on Friday night, none of it matters. You're not a Pac-12 champion. You're not talking about anything else.
Well, I wouldn't say nothing matters, but that.
Well, as far as the playoffs,
right,
doesn't
exactly.
matter.
Oh yeah,
you're out of the conversation for that if you don't win it on Friday night. So anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about the Ducks coming up here on the pregame or on the coaches show tonight. If you want to listen to us on Friday night while you watch the game on ABC, well, you can do that. Go to syncmygame.com to find out how. That's syncmygame.com. Syncs up our radio broadcast with the television broadcast. We'll talk a little bit about weekly awards and a first look in at the Oregon Ducks straight ahead. This is Utah Football with the Coaches Show presented by Smiths from Learfield IMG College. tailgate. Keep it crisp, Utah fans, and please drink responsible. Utah and Oregon Friday night from Santa Clara, California, and Levi's Stadium. It's a 6 o'clock Mountain Time kickoff, and our network pregame will begin at about 4 with myself, Scott Mitchell, and Tom Hackett from over at Levi's Stadium. If you're heading over, just beware. There's a little rain in the forecast, so you might want to take a poncho and some warm, wet weather clothing to keep yourself dry as the Utes and the Oregon Ducks will go at it coming up on Friday night. All right, player of the week this week, pretty easy, I think, Brant Keithy.
It is. We got to go with the Pac-12 player of the week, Brant Keithy, offensive player of the week. And we have a wall downstairs where we recognize all the Pac-12 players of the week. We ran out of room this year. So for the first time ever, we ran out of pegs. We make a little disc with their name on it, and it just stays up there permanently. And we transfer them over from the current year to years past. But anyway, Brant, without a doubt, had a tremendous game and has been such a weapon for us this year.
3 receptions, 63 yards. He had 2 touchdowns there. And then, of course, he had another long fly sweep for 44 yards that set up a touchdown. Then Andy ran him one in on 50. So he had 2 carries, 59 yards, 3 receptions, 63 yards. And he's a hard matchup.
And blocked well all night long.
Yeah, he had a couple of really nice. In fact, on the Zach Moss touchdown, he carried his guy about halfway through the end zone.
Yep, he did.
He did a heck of a job. So, Brant Keithy, you were talking about running out of room on the wall. I was joking with your creative director, the great Maddie Hansen, a little while ago. She's been busy because you guys are dominating a lot of these postseason teams. Pro Football Focus put out their all Pac-12 team. You guys had 10 first-teamers, including 7 of the positions on defense.
I saw that, and it doesn't surprise you when we got the defense playing the way they are and ranked nationally in virtually every statistical category. And so it's a great for them to be recognized like that.
And Maddie and her team are doing a great job. If you go to Utah Football on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, they do an outstanding job with that. You knew this was going to be a good defense. I can always tell. When I talk to you in the offseason, coaches, there's always a tell. A coach will, usually, we're pretty good. You were like, I think we've got a chance. Usually when you've got a good team coming up, we've got a chance to be pretty good. And you said that in the spring, and you reiterated it in the summer, but the numbers that your defense is putting up this year are kind of all-time national numbers. You're usually atop the Pac-12 and top 15, top 20 nationally. You're top 3 nationally in most of these categories right now.
And I don't think there's any question this is the best defense ever assembled here at Utah, and at least in the time I've been here. I can't speak for 50, 75 years ago, but during the modern era of football and with the schedule we play now, it's different than a Mountain West schedule, much different. And to be able to put up these numbers and hold people down like we've been doing is a real credit to our players.
Coming into the season, one of the real questions was your linebacking core, and I'll tell you what, Francis, we've known, has been very good, but Devin's gotten his chance. He had a terrific game, 9 tackles. He had a sack and a half the other night. He made some really good open field tackles in the flat on tight ends and backs. Your linebackers have been fantastic.
They have, and losing Manny Bowen early in the season appeared to be, not early in the season, before the season, appeared to be something that might be problematic for us, but Devin has stepped in and played just sensational. And he's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of upside to go.
He's got a very bright future here, as does, I think, our Subway Sub of the Week this week.
Yep.
He was a guy you guys were hoping would get a waiver to play early because you just never know with the NCAA. He's a transfer from the University of Nevada. Nephi Sewell. He got his first action for you on Saturday night and came up with some nice special teams plays.
Sure did. He was on 3 or 4 special teams. Got some defensive work towards the end of the game, and we were elated, ecstatic when that waiver got approved, and it was just in the nick of time because now he can use perhaps all his games, we'll see. But certainly every game that we have, he'll be in from this point forward.
He's a guy that I know you guys have a really high hope for, probably as a safety maybe next year?
Safety or backer. He's kind of a tweener.
Okay.
He might be like a 43 safety and a nickel backer. Might play a dual role. We'll see what happens.
Kind of almost a hybrid like Chase was?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Has he got that kind of a frame where you can put some weight on him?
Well, he's 215 you're only talking 8 to 10 pounds, and that's very doable.
So, by the way, Nephi Sewell, our Subway Sub of the Week, brought to you by Subway, where you get the footlong of the day, and chips and cookies and a drink are all free for you at Subway. Nephi's going to get to see his brother on Friday night. Nephi's brother, Penei Sewell, just happens to be maybe the best offensive lineman in college football. He's the left tackle for Oregon. and they're going to be your opponent in the Pac-12 championship game. A lot of people before the season kind of said this is the matchup. You knew you weren't going to see him in the season, but if you did see him, it would be in the Pac-12 championship game. So, as you've looked at them this week and got ready, where are they different than the team you saw at Rice-Eccles a year ago, do you think?
Not a lot different schematically. You know, they're still committed to being a run-first team. The Verdell kid is a very good back. The offensive line is excellent, one of the best in the country, and we feel our defensive line is one of the best in the country, so that's an intriguing matchup. Quarterback, of course, Herbert, I mean, you know, everybody knows about him, big arm, big, strong kid, huge talent. Defensively, they got a lot of athletes running around on the back end, lead the Pac-12 in interceptions. So they got a lot going for them, but so do we.
Are they? When you've scouted them, do you feel like they're the most complete team you've prepared for this year?
Probably so.
Yeah,
probably so. And you know, as you look back through the schedule, I would say, yeah, for sure, that the most complete team.
Yeah, we'll talk about Herbert and some of those offensive weapons, getting ready for those guys coming up a little bit later on in the coaches show with Kyle, and of course that matchup that everybody will have an eye on, the defensive line against that offensive line, which I know the guys in this building are looking forward to getting on the field and seeing. Our first guy up is a senior and a guy that's been around your program, came here as a walk-on, and that's Kyle Lanterman. You awarded him a scholarship, I think, a year ago. So talk a little bit about what Kyle's meant to your program.
Well, first of all, you sure you want Kyle first instead of Tariq? Tariq might lose it if he doesn't get on first.
Oh, really?
He's so nervous.
Okay. Well, we can do Tariq
let's
first.
Let's flip that and let Tariq. Kyle's very composed and relaxed back there.
Okay.
But Tariq, let's talk about both of them. Tariq came to us from JC. We waited an extra year for him to get his academics cleared up. Did a great job with that and has been playing outstanding football for us this season. Kyle Lanterman, you're right, started as a walk-on and just through sheer blood, sweat, and tears earned himself a scholarship, and very popular member of our football team, and you won't find a harder worker than Kyle Lanterman.
Well, and here's the funny thing, too, because he's an offensive lineman.
Right.
And it's hard enough to be a walk-on. You're going through, you're on the scout team, you're doing a lot of that stuff, but once you've kind of gotten up there, you know, if you're a defensive back or a wide receiver, you can get a rep in there from time to time, but man, as an offensive lineman, it's hard to get reps, so to be able to bring it every day and earn that scholarship, that says something about the work ethic Kyle Lanterman brought to your program.
It does, and you the team. Well, you saw the team reaction when he felt we had that on the little Snapchat.
You had his mom call, right?
Yes, exactly. We kind of choreographed a little thing, and it turned out just right. And the team was elated when he was awarded the scholarship.
So you think we need to bring Tariq in first?
Your call, but I'm saying Tariq may not be there when
he's pacing the hallway. All right. Well,
he just he doesn't like to talk on the radio.
Well, we're going to have to loosen him up just a little bit and get him in the air chair here in Kyle's office. Maybe he's just nervous that he's coming into your office. He thinks he's in trouble.
Oh, he's been in here before.
Oh, has he?
Yeah,
okay.
Not for bad things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Julian Blackman said, I haven't been in here in years.
Yes. Julian keeps to himself.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. So we'll take a time out here on the Coaches Show. We'll come back. And the nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, Tariq Lewis will join us next on the Coaches Show, presented by Smith's from Learfield IMG College. Boosted Pepsi. Grab a Code Red touchdown like we do with the Utes every week. Pepsi and Code Red, big sponsors and proud partners of Utah football and Utah athletics. I'm here with Tariq Lewis. Why'd Coach say you were nervous? You seem fine to me.
Oh, no, maybe because I was acting a little nervous inside there with them.
More nervous sitting here across from me or lining up against Jalen Red on Friday night in the Pac-12 championship game?
Sitting here across from you.
Really? You're good with Jalen Red?
For sure.
Okay, good. I'm glad that I can make Tariq Lewis a little more nervous than Jalen Red. Utah fans, that should make you feel good about Friday night's matchup. How you been?
I've been good. How you been?
Good. How's your year gone? We'll get to it in a minute, but your journey to get here was not an easy one.
No, sir.
And you and Derek Vickers both had tough journeys to get here. But I'm just curious, has it gone the way you'd kind of hoped?
Sort of, but I wish I could do more.
Yeah.
As far as my playing ability, but as far as the team and everything that's going on, it's been going good.
Well, you got a nice honor the other day. Pro Football Focus came out with their all Pac-12 team, and I think you made third team corner.
Yes, sir.
So those are the guys that scout the games. Mm-hmm. Those are the guys that watch every play and see how, is he doing what he's supposed to do? Is he in his drop? Is he not getting beat on plays? So that's got to be, it's one thing for fans to watch, guys like me, but those guys that watch the tape, they noticed. And
yes,
I think you had 6 PBUs this year, don't you?
7 right now.
Is it 7 now?
7, yes, sir.
I don't want to short him a PBU. Maybe you'll have a couple of more coming up on Friday night. So let's talk about this. You signed in 17, but you had to wait a year to join the team.
Yes, sir.
So how difficult was that year and having to wait?
It was hard just watching, because I used to watch the games on TV, and every time I used to watch it, I'd be like, man, I'm supposed to be playing right now. But, everything happens for a reason, so I just kept my head down and just had to finish my schoolwork.
Tariq and I kind of have a somewhat of a similar tie. Before I came to Salt Lake City all those many years ago, 18 years ago, I lived in Jacksonville, Florida, Jax Beach, about an hour or 45 minutes from where I lived. It's where you live, Palatka, Florida.
Yes, sir.
Not a lot of people know about Palatka, Florida. They know West Palm and they know Miami and all that, but they don't know Palatka, do they?
Just look over it.
Yeah, it's right outside of Jacksonville. It's kind of back in the country just a little bit, but that's an interesting journey. You go from Palatka, Florida, to Riverside, California, to Salt Lake City.
Yes, sir.
You've seen the country now, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
How's that journey been?
It's been good. God blessed me to be in this position right now, and I'm just taking advantage of it.
You miss the South at all?
Yes, sir.
What do you miss most?
The warm weather.
The warm weather? I thought you were going to say like the food.
That too, but
warm weather first.
Yeah,
the warm weather first. Yeah, Snoop and those guys the other night said, "Man, they were asking why the game started so slow on offense," and Snoop was like, "We're cold out there."
Really?
He's always very honest.
Yes, sir.
There's no doubt about that. So let's go inside the defensive backs room. How competitive a room is that with you and Josh and Jalen and Javelin in that room and the rest of the guys and Coach Shaw coaching you? Is that a pretty good room?
Yes, sir. It's very competitive, but at the same time, we all we friends and we just know what's at stake, so we just try to make each other better.
Do you feel like you guys are living up to the billing now? You had that rough game against SC, but after that, it's kind of been on lockdown?
Yes, sir. After that SC game, everything's been on lock, and we just continue to get better every day.
What's changed?
Our mentality.
Really?
Yes, sir. Just looking back at the SC game and fixing our technique and just getting back to the old stuff.
It's one thing to be more focused and getting back to the old stuff. What you guys have done the last 8 games, Tariq, has been silly. I mean, you talk about lockdown defense and the back end and the front end. You guys are putting up historically good numbers. Now, I know you guys had a lot of confidence in yourself. Did you think it would be this good?
At first, no.
Okay.
Not at all.
But now that it's kind of come,
yeah.
Now you expect it, right?
Yes, sir.
It's kind of the expectation is no fly zone,
no
stuff
fly
like that?
Zone, nothing.
Okay.
They get nothing.
What's it like being coached by Sheree Shaw?
It's a blessing to have him as a coach, on and off the field. He's just like a father figure to me, and I just love that guy.
He used to be my radio partner. He did sidelines before he was a coach. He was an attorney and a sideline reporter, and then he decided to coach guys like you. And he's got a lot of energy, doesn't he?
Never stop yelling. He yell when you do good and yell when you do bad.
Who yells more? Who's got more energy? Coach Swan, Coach Scally, or Coach Shaw?
Coach Shaw for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
More than Coach Scally?
For sure.
Really? He probably has to, though, because of being the position coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coach Scally's kind of having to oversee everybody.
The team, yes, sir.
What's he like? I mean, you guys, he's the guy that's kind of the architect of this defense and all the stuff that you're doing this year. What's it like working with Coach Shaw individually, but under Coach Scally's umbrella?
It's awesome. You know, Coach Scally is an amazing defensive coordinator. He game plan us right every single Saturday, and we just go out there and just believe in what he's teaching us and just do it on the field.
You guys seem to get better as the game goes along. It's like first quarter, okay, they may move the ball a little bit. Second quarter, a little bit, and then the third and fourth quarter roll around, and I mean, the numbers are staggering how few yards you guys are giving up in the second half. Is it just the adjusting to it and you guys seeing it then?
Yeah, just getting a feel for it.
And what you kind of studied and prepared for all week,
sir.
then you start to see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I got to ask you, which wide receiver gives you the most fits for Utah in practice? Who's the guy out there that gives you fits? You can be honest.
JD.
Everybody that sat in that chair has said JD. Terrell said JD. Julian said JD. Jalen didn't want to, but he said JD. Is it just speed, or has he got a good route runner too?
He's a good route runner, and his speed, and like he's small, so he can just
shifty
maneuver over. Yeah, shifty. He can just duck under you when you're trying to press him, and
that's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
All right, they've got a couple of those guys for Oregon, don't they?
Yes, sir.
Small, shifty guys. As you've studied a little bit the last couple of days on Oregon, what stands out about the Ducks?
Their run game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a pretty good running back.
You guys going to have to tackle a little bit
yes, sir.
this week?
Yes, sir.
What about the pass game?
Pass game cool. You know, they got a few double moves, but nothing we ain't seen before.
Maybe the receivers aren't that, but when you have a quarterback like Herbert, he's probably the best quarterback you've played this year. Those SA guys were good too. But
yes,
when you face a quarterback, some quarterbacks can make a few of the throws. He seems to be a guy with his arm that can make all the throws. That puts you on blast a little bit, right? You know, there's not a route or a throw he can't make.
Yes, sir. But that's fine, though. We're going to be on everything this game.
All right. We've talked so much about unfinished business this year. What would it mean on Friday night to get a dub in San Francisco and Santa Clara and win the Pac-12?
It means a lot, you know, another check off the book in history. So we just going to go out there and give it our all, and we're going to win this.
It's going to be Florida-like weather, by the way. It's supposed to be raining.
100%.
Yeah. 100% chance of rain. It'll be cool, but it won't be cold. It'll be like, you know, November, December in Florida.
Yes, sir.
It won't be like it is out there right now. You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
You okay with that?
I could take rain over cold.
Thanks, Tariq.
Yes, sir.
Tariq Lewis with us here on the Coaches Show tonight. We'll take a break. Kyle Lanterman joins us on the other side right here from Learfield IMG College. continues. I failed to mention this earlier, so I better get it in now. Our Team Utah Player of the Week and Utah Football presented by University of Utah Health. 16 convenient neighborhood health centers. Game plan for your family's health. Visit them online at uofuhealth.org. Kyle Lanterman sitting down with us right now. Senior offensive lineman, played his final home game on Saturday night. Not his final game, though. He's still got Saturday or Friday, whatever lies beyond that. So, how was Saturday night for you? Senior walking out, final time at Rice Eccles Stadium, mom and dad there with you. How was it?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. You know, I was grateful for them to be there, and it was just perfect. You know, before we left the team hotel, I shook everybody's hand, you know, senior send-off, and each and every one of my teammates, you know, gave me their promise to do everything they can to come out with a W. So, you know, I thought we played well, and it was perfect. It was awesome.
Kyle's got a unique journey. You heard Kyle Whittingham and I talking about Kyle Lanterman's journey here. You didn't come to Utah on a full-ride scholarship. You didn't come here with, you know, a promise to get playing time or anything like that. You came here as a walk-on football player. So you certainly probably could have gone somewhere on scholarship. I'm sure you had scholarship offers to go play football somewhere, Kyle. What was it about wanting to come to Utah and play and be a walk-on and earn it?
You know, this goes back to the first time I really saw Utah football at work was I was actually at home, and my dad and I were watching the 2014 game here.
Yeah.
And with they had that game-winning drive down the field
against SC.
Against SC, yeah. Yep. With a few seconds left, and I fell in love with it. I said, this is like a team this is a team full of tough guys, and I want to go there and contribute and be a part of it.
What's it like, though? First couple of years here, I mean, you're going out and practicing every day just as hard as everybody else. You're getting up just as early in the morning and doing it, but those guys are getting a scholarship check, and mom and dad are helping. You might have had a summer job. I don't know what it was, but what's that like as a walk-on and not a guy that was promised any playing time? What's that process like and that mindset like to have to go out and do it every day, knowing you're not, while you are teammates and you're all equals on the field, you're still a walk-on in their scholarship? It
takes everything, The one thing I tried to focus on every day was just improvement, No matter what I did, just, you got to keep your head down and go to work, because you have a jersey, you have an opportunity. So just try to build off that every day and contribute.
It's truly doing something you love, because anybody that's ever played football knows it's not easy. And to do it at this level against these guys is not an easy thing to do. Did you have any inkling? Was it your goal to try to win that scholarship, or were you fully planning on saying, hey, I'll be a Ute for 4 years whether I get a scholarship or not?
You always have that goal to win a scholarship. And in my journey, it was actually a little interesting, because I actually came in my freshman year on an Army ROTC scholarship. And that fell through, but no matter what, at the end of the day, the main thing was just helping the team.
Go back and search, if you're a Utah fan, Lanterman's scholarship unveiling, because it was a good one, because they had your mom call. You guys were in the indoor facility and a phone rang, and you should see the look on everybody's face on this video, because phones ringing at football practice is not a common practice.
No, not
and then
at
to
all.
see the look on his face when Kyle Whittingham says, yeah, Mrs. Lanterman, he's here. Kyle's like, you turned white.
Oh man,
it was like,
yeah.
You're like, what is she doing?
Yeah, I had no idea. They credit to them, they got me, man. I was not expecting that, and you're right. A phone ringing and anything team related at football is not a good thing. So it was awesome.
So is that your? I mean, you've experienced some pretty high highs here as a football player, but was that the day for you? The day you got the scholarship?
Hands down.
I know it was for your mom and dad, too.
Yep.
I've met Kyle's mom and dad. They're great fans living back in Long Beach, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, probably listening to the show right now. If you are, you've raised a good one here. All right, so what would a win Friday night mean? You've been part of this group, this special group of guys that came in 4 years ago, Kyle. Mm-hmm. And it's a pretty tight-knit group. It's a pretty close group.
Absolutely.
You guys, and I've been around this program for a lot of years, might be as tight-knit as any of them, and you all came back together and you wanted to get back. You were so close a year ago. What would a win Friday night, if you could get one, mean?
It would mean everything. This is this is part of my why, and without a doubt, it's part of others as well. You know, it's why all those guys came back for their senior year, and it's what we work for every day. I mean, it's no secret, I don't think, so it would mean the world.
You guys pride yourself on toughness and physicality. I think Oregon does too.
Yes, sir.
You know, as much as we talk about toughness around this Utah football program, Mario Cristobal is doing the same thing up there. I think a lot of people are anxious to watch those battles in the trenches on Friday night, be it the D block here against their offensive line, or you guys up front on the offensive line against their defensive line. Mm-hmm. It's sometimes a cliche in sports where they say the game's won in the trenches. That actually might be the case on Friday night.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they you know, it's going to be a battle of wills, as Coach Harding said, and I completely agree with that.
Do you feel like this offensive line group has finally found its – I mean, it looks like over the last couple of weeks, but do you think these five guys, especially the five starters, have really kind of found their rhythm together?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. You mean across all five. And I mean, I'm biased, but if you watch the tape, it's there. And I got all the confidence in the world in those five guys.
Give me a thought on that defensive front for Oregon and what lies ahead for you guys on the offensive side of things.
Oh, yeah, really, you know, quite similar to us, I'd say. They play a 4-down. You know, not all teams in the country. You know, if you have a team on defense that plays a 4-down, you know, they got 2 strong D tackles, as we do, and athletic, long edge rushers. So, you know, we got our work cut out for us, but we're working to accomplish it.
What's it like matching up with Penasini and Fotu and Tafua and Anai and Moala and those guys on a daily basis?
It's great. You love it, man. You know, those guys get us better and vice versa. And, you know, I love those guys like family, but, you know, mix it up every day. So
hey, thanks for coming on today.
Appreciate
you. Good to see you, Kyle.
You too.
Kyle Lanterman with us here on the Coaches Show tonight. Quick timeout. Kyle and I come back and talk a little bit about the Ducks, Justin Herbert, the offense, the defense, and more straight ahead. This is the Coaches Show from Learfield IMG College. Coach's Show is always presented by Smith's. Utes of the Oregon Ducks on Friday night, Pac-12 championship game, Santa Clara, California, 6 o'clock Mountain Time kickoff. You'll hear it right here on the network. The Ducks come in at 10-2, and they were 8-1 in conference play this year. And boy, it feels like we've seen Justin Herbert for years and years and years. I think he made his debut here as a freshman quarterback. He threw that crazy touchdown in the back of the end zone to, ironically enough, Darren Carrington.
Yes, he did.
Still not convinced Darren got feet down and controlled the football. But either way, he's had a terrific career. A lot of people at this time a year ago didn't think he'd be back, chose to come back. His brother's on the team. He's a Eugene native, and he's had a good year. 31 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's good, Kyle, and he's probably the best quarterback you've seen this year, at least when you do all the measurables. What's the biggest challenge a guy like Herbert presents your defense and secondary?
Well, he can make every throw. And
yeah.
That's something that not all quarterbacks can do at this level. He's got an NFL arm, and the deep out from the far hash. I mean, across the field, he's capable of putting the ball wherever it needs to be, and so that's something as a secondary player that challenges you. And so that's probably the biggest thing. He's got good pocket presence. He doesn't panic in the pocket. He hangs in there well. And he's a better runner than people give him credit for. He doesn't want to run. That's not his first choice or first option, but he's certainly capable.
Yeah, he's a good athlete. I mean, he's 6'6", but he's a very good athlete. Was a tremendous basketball player in high school as well. So you've got Herbert, and then you've got their three-headed attack at running back. They're a little bit like you. They've got a lead guy, but then they've got a couple of backs behind him. The lead guy is C.J. Verdell, but then they've got Habibi Likio and Travis Dye, whose brother's a linebacker. So they'll go with 3, but Verdell's their lead guy.
Yeah, and you're right. It's very much like our setup, and Verdell's got the vast majority of the carries, and Likio is more of the short yardage goal line guy. But they've got good production out of all 3 of those guys, and not surprising with the offensive line they're running behind.
Yeah, their offensive line is very good. And the thing, too, is, and anybody will tell you, they've played together. They've got a lot of, just a ton of starts. 4 of the 5 guys have been playing together for about 3 seasons, and then Sewell's been with them for 2 seasons.
Right.
And, they're very, very good. And you know what's interesting? I kind of was thinking about this the other day. They're a program much like you guys that pride themselves on physicality and toughness in the trenches, but it always strikes me that the teams that do that don't talk about it. It's the teams that want to be that tend to talk about it just a little bit more. And you don't hear Oregon, you don't hear your guys talking about it. They just go out and do it. But that'll be fun. But when you watch that offensive line, they're very much groomed in the image of their head coach, and Mario Cristobal, who was an offensive line coach.
Right, and they're senior late, and I think 4 of those starters are seniors.
Yes.
On the offensive line, Sewell being the lone underclassman. So you're right, they get a lot of experience, and Sewell hasn't given up a sack all season long, and has only given up, I think, 7 quarterback hurries the entire season, which is a phenomenal stat. And they're in sync. I mean, they play well together, and they're very, very formidable.
Do your guys get up for a challenge like this?
Oh, absolutely.
When you talk to Bradley or Lecky or John, they want to match themselves
That's
against
why
the
you
best
play.
too, right?
That's why you play for games like this. And if you're the best, you want to play against the best.
I think Calvin Throckmorton, their right tackle's only given up 1 sack in the last year and a half, too. He's pretty darn good.
Yep.
So it'll be a good challenge on Friday night. Flip to the other side of the ball, their defense. Andy Avalos came in from Boise State, was the defensive coordinator there. He's now the defensive coordinator at Oregon. What's their strength on defense?
Well, they're athletic in the back end, like I said, leading the Pac-12 in interceptions, and that is a good barometer of your athleticism in the back end is your overall interceptions back there, and they've got more than anyone in the conference. We're number 2. They've got a good front. The front guys are physical, and the nose guard, number 34, has been there for 3 years
Scott,
now. Yeah. So he's got a lot of experience. The linebacker Dye is a heck of a player, very productive. So they've got at all 3 levels, much like our defense, quality players.
They've got a tremendous freshman on the defensive end too, Thibodeau, number 5, I believe.
Yeah,
what have you seen from him?
Good player, athletic, and very, very fluid.
Young man is a true freshman, 6.5 sacks on the year, bunch of tackles for loss for Oregon. So be a good matchup coming up on Friday night. We'll take our final timeout. We'll come back on the other side, get some final thoughts on what lies ahead, and talk to Kyle about a few other things as we wind it down on the Coaches Show presented by Smith's from Learfield IMG College. All right, final segment of the Coaches Show. We'll get a game key or two here from Kyle. Utes and Oregon coming up on Friday night, the Pac-12 championship game. If you're just tuning in, Utah moved up a spot in the college football playoff poll from 6 to 5. So before we get to a final thought on the game Friday night, one of your colleagues called it quits yesterday, surprised some people. Chris Peterson, who has got a pretty good program built up at the University of Washington, said he needed to step aside. They promoted his defensive coordinator, Jimmy Lake, and so he's going to take a little break from coaching football for a while. Were you surprised?
I was, but I wasn't. How about that? I mean, Coach Peterson is an elite coach, in my opinion. I mean, he's an outstanding coach. He's won a bunch of games, does it the right way, recruits the right way. But like most of us, he's very, he internalizes things, I would imagine, and gets, you're always looking to the next thing, never satisfied. Yeah. And at least that's my take. I don't, I know him, fairly well, but not well enough to speak purely on his behalf. But I just know that I can see where he's coming from, and we wish him the best. And if he wants to get back in it someday, I'm sure there'll be a ton of opportunities, and we'll see what happens. But he's one of the really good coaches in this country.
All right, before we get out of here, give me a game key specific to Oregon.
Okay, you're not going to want to hear all these, but
well, you can give me the usuals if you want to.
First of all, you've got to handle the elements. Yeah. The team that handles the elements best is going to have a definite advantage there, and just blocks it out and doesn't worry about it. With both teams and with the elements seemingly what they're going to be, strong run game is going to go a long ways in this game.
Stop the run.
Stop the run and run the football.
And win the turnover battle.
Win the turnover. But you never let me say that.
Yeah, I got to say it that time. Yeah. I've done this a few times with him. He'll be at Stadium in Santa Clara at Levi Stadium, so will I. 4 o'clock pregame, 6 o'clock kickoff for the Utes and the Ducks on Friday night. We'll see you there. This is Utah football from Learfield, IMG College.